Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dan-A-Plooza, the beautiful, very talented virtual round of applause for Raven Chanteuse. Am I saying that correctly?
Chanteuse, you said it perfectly.
Chanteuse. I figured it sounded enchanting. For those watching and future watching, you can follow Raven Chanteuse. She's a pinup girl living in a pinup world and also a gamer girl living in the game world. All right. You can follow her on the Instagram at Raven Chanteuse. It's all one word. So make sure to follow that. And for those that have plans for the summer, make sure to check out the East Coast Vintage Pinup Show, which is in Boxborough, Massachusetts, June 5th through the 8th. So make sure to go there, network, have lots of pinup time and pinup memories. And Raven, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, you are welcome. Now we will go to the honors segment. This is the honors segment, and this would be if Dan-A-Plooza had trumpets and, had animation and cannons and, hedgehog jumping through a hoop. But we're Dan-A-Plooza, so I have to nominate you the old-fashioned way because we don't have all that fancy stuff.
Not yet. You'll get there.
So we here at Dan-A-Plooza, we want to nominate Raven. We've just gotten to know her a little bit, and as soon as it was a gamer girl was announced, and I'm a gamer dude or gamer fella, there's that game connection. So there'll be lots of gaming talk, no cheat codes. And then we know that she has been doing pinup for a short time, but we know that she loves it very much. Very elegant, beautiful, enchanting woman. And we hope a lot of opportunities for her. So we honor her here on Dan-A-Plooza.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind. Thank
you.
you.
But okay, so now we are going to shift gears. And Raven, I'm going to let you decide. You get to make a decision on Dan-A-Plooza. So now what some people want sometimes is they want impressions and then question and then impressions. Sometimes people just want impressions and then sometimes people just want questions. So the mixed bag is the question impression. So Miss Raven, what would you like to decide today?
Oh, I like a mixed bag.
Okay.
Yeah, let's change things up here and there.
Okay, we will do the mixed bag, which is always very popular. So do you want the impression first or the question first?
Let's get an impression first. I like a good impression.
Alrighty. And here we have the wonderful spin wheel. So you can see whatever it lands on. It's hard to see it when I spin it here because it disappears.
I can hear it.
As it fades into the abyss. All right. It landed on Mortal Kombat.
Let's do this.
All right. Well, I got to get my timer, so I time it. Okay, are you ready?
Well, should I be nervous?
No, it's just me being silly. So, like you don't have to do anything unless you want to, it's just me.
Oh, it's not me guessing who you're doing.
No, it's just me just entertaining you for
I can handle that.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right, and here we go. Round one. Get over here. Round two.
Okay.
Or you could do that kick where you kick on the ground and kneel.
And then, of course, I'm compelled to guess who you're doing. So, but I'm not going to.
All right, so there you go. There's Mortal Kombat.
That was fantastic.
I have met Daniel Pensina, who was Scorpio and Sub-Zero for the video game.
For the OG, the original?
Sega.
Whoa. That's pretty incredible. And that was at a time, I think, where a lot of like the live action was kind of like it was a huge deal at the time because it looked so realistic to us at the time, early 90s, right?
They are, where are you located at?
Oh, I'm on Long Island.
Are you in Long Island? Okay.
Mhm.
In York, PA, they are having a Mortal Kombat reunion from the Sega Genesis games. They have the person who was Katana and Sonya Blade, the person who was Raiden, and the person who was Liu Kang.
I
all
love
at
that.
this place called Time.
Yeah, I think that that's such a cool thing. I've seen on YouTube, there have been several videos where you'll see like these conventions or even just like these sort of independent channels who will find these actors, whether it was the people who did the live action for Mortal Kombat or the people who did the opening movie for the original Resident Evil video game. You know, they found all of those almost all of those individual actors and interviewed them, and it was such a cool, it was a really actually a very touching thing because several of them were just like, I didn't think anybody would ever know who I was or care who I was, and now all of a sudden people want to take pictures with me and they want me to sign things, and it was just such a sweet thing to see for these people who just thought, you know, here's this little acting gig and I guess nothing's ever going to become of it and it's going to fade into oblivion, and so am I. And then you find out that you don't, and there are people who are really excited to see you. So it's really sweet to see those things. So I'm always excited when I hear about them. I'm very happy for the people who are involved with it because they realize like, no, people didn't forget who you are. There's a huge community of people who loved what you did, and obviously it stuck with them for all these years and they want to meet you. Obviously it meant something to these people, to gamers. I think gamers are a special breed, I think.
Yep. I can tell you I have met Scorpion from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Okay. How did that go?
Yeah, if you ever want to watch that, but yeah, where I've talked to Scorpion, you know, and so as we did the photo, I was like this. But let's get to a question, shall we?
Absolutely.
As a gamer girl, what are some of your favorite games?
So I would say that I am a little bit more of an old school gamer. While I do very much appreciate and respect what they have going on now with the, you know, the graphics and the immersive environments and the incredible voice actors. I'm a little bit more, I have a little bit more of an affinity towards the older stuff. My favorite video game of all time is Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. That's my go-to. That is one of those games that I just never get tired of playing. I have a couple of classic consoles, so I'll go back and I'll play that, and I'll play, you know, old school Streets of Rage and
there you go.
yeah, the Sonic the Hedgehog games are great. Of course, the Mario games, classic Mario, are fantastic. But I love really old consoles as well. I grew up in a ColecoVision and television Commodore 64 household. So if I had those systems with me right now, I would play them to this day. I feel like, you know, game creators at the time, they had to do so much with the very basic technology that they had at the time. Everything like the sound cards. I mean, you could hear the sound sometimes was a little gritty, and the artwork, you could see like the little pixel dots that they would use to just create these landscapes. And I just give them so much credit, these game creators from back in the day, because they just had to make these incredible and believable imaginative environments with so little. So I have a little, my heart, I have kind of like a soft spot for those old school games, I have to say.
I only think it's fair that I answer as well, since I'm a gamer too. So the first thing I had was an Atari.
Mhm.
So for the Atari, I had a number pad, and you have to use the number pad for the learning games. And the first one I remember playing was like Big Bird's Egg Catch, and like you had to like play and get them to move, and like the music would go da 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 da, and so sometimes the chute where the egg would disappear. So you're trying to figure out where's the egg, or they would cross together. So and so like when you were missing when you were collecting the egg, it was da 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 da, and when you were missing, it go da 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 da.
It
Like
sticks with you, right? It's something that just kinda gets embedded in your memory. But they were fun, they were so much fun, and, at the time, that was what we had, so to us, it was everything, it was just the coolest thing, and, I mean, you did have to have a certain degree of imagination, I think, when you would look at certain games or play certain games, maybe, like, if you played E.T. or if you played Pitfall, you really had to use your imagination, but whatever was there, I mean, you knew what it was. You knew little Pitfall Harry was swinging on a vine and trying to dodge gators. I mean, you could see that even with the very basic graphics, I think. But they're classics and they're classics to this day. And I would play any one of those games this day and be very happy to do so.
So I played that. We used to play Freeway, getting the little chicken across the road.
Kind of like Frogger. It was very similar to Frogger, except it was a chicken. I
Yep.
remember Freeway.
And then for NES, we used to play the Magic Kingdom game.
I don't think I ever played that before. Now I'm gonna have to check
Oh,
that out.
you had to like get these whistles and keys, and you had to go from different parks, and like the music would always play. It'd be like as you're walking around, you had to talk to other characters. And then like my favorite was always to go to the Haunted Mansion because they would play Haunted Mansion music. So we did that game, and then when I got Sega, I used to play Ren and Stimpy, Sonic. I forget. There was this mutant hockey league that I used to play. It was mutants that would play mutant hockey, and you could take out your opponent with a chainsaw or something like that.
That's good.
And then I got Xbox, the first Xbox, and then I got that dreaded Red X, where it didn't work no more.
The of death, right?
Yep. But with my cousins, we used to play GoldenEye, and then we used to play Mario Kart.
Of course. So my younger brother, he's about 6 years younger than me. He was hooked on GoldenEye, for
Yeah.
the Nintendo 64, I believe it was, and he just forget it. You cannot get that. I was more Mario Kart for the Nintendo 64, but my little brother Chris, he was all about that GoldenEye. And I could just remember him not so much rage quitting. He wasn't much of a rage quitter, but you could definitely see, the shaking with the controller, the frustration, but he was no quitter. So he, played that game until he beat it. But yeah, I was more Mario Kart, especially for that console. Toad would always pick Toad. Because even though he was the most vulnerable and would get spun around the most, he was also very fast. So I liked the speed with Toad.
I was Wario, or I was Luigi.
Yes, good choices as well. Or Yoshi, of course. But I always felt bad if I lost as Yoshi, so I tried not to pick Yoshi as much because I didn't like losing with him. I'll lose with Toad, but not with Yoshi. He's too precious.
Yep. Shall we do another impression? Let's
Yes,
spin the wheel
let's do it.
and see what our game fate is for the town. All right, it is Sonic.
Let's do this.
All right, one moment, please. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, and here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Shing! All the rings. Ping, 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 ping,
Oh,
ping,
yeah.
ping, ping.
Yeah, triggered. It's a
Then
triggering moment.
doop. And then like Dr. Robotnik.
That's when I knew him as a Robotnik, and then he changed over to Eggman.
Yes. And then Tails.
Tails.
All right. So there we go.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I try. All right. So what is your dream pinup girl photo shoot?
Oh, so now we're talking actual like the studio, or we're talking like theme here?
Talking like theme, like the sky's the limit. There is no budget or cost. It's just whatever you want.
Oh goodness, I mean it's going to sound so I think it may sound basic because I just feel like every and any pinup have done it before, but I just really love like a nice vintagey diner or kitchen. It's just something about like that, the black and white checkerboard floors and like those red kind of bar stools and the soda fountain and there's just something about kind of like 50s nostalgia. I think that kind of speaks to me, an old kitchen set with like the vintage refrigerator and the oven and the just those kind of like almost pastel colors, like your pastel pinks and those seafoam greens. I adore that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, that's probably it. Anything that just kind of, I guess, feels old. I'm a little bit more of like I guess like an old soul or an affinity
Vintage.
towards that. Yeah, yeah, anything vintage kind of appeals to me. So I love a vintage set.
Well, there you go. Having a vintage flashback for a vintage photo shoot.
Yes.
All right. Let's spin that wheel.
Okay.
And okay, it's landed on the same one again. All right. Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the NES version.
Mhm.
Okay, ready?
Let's do
And
it.
here we go. Da 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 da
Mhm.
da da. Ding ding. And then you would hide in the box, and then it would go ding ding ding. The box would go up like that, and then you could pick up the apple, and it'd be ding 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 ding. Throw that, or you could actually pick up your partner, and you go do 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 do. That's how you throw your partner off, and then you'd have Zipper, and it'd be zzz, 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 or Monterey Jack would go chase. So that was the game my sister and I would play in the childhood, and she'd always want to throw me off and not want to play. So I used to hide in the little box. You see my little eyeballs poking.
This is kind of like when you would play sort of like those beat 'em ups, and if you played a beat 'em up like a Streets of Rage, where you could
Yeah.
accidentally hit your partner, or a Battletoads or something like that, where you did because there's just so much chaos going on, and you don't mean to hit your partner, and then you wind up punching them, and then they
Mhm.
get mad, especially if you're playing with a
Yeah.
sibling. So then they have to come after you, and it's just like this back and forth, and it's like we're forgetting that we're not the enemy here. We have to fight the enemy, but you know how it is. Your partner punches you, you got to give them a good punch back before you
Yeah.
resume play.
Or you get the secret life or special potion or whatever. Did you eat that? No. Yep.
No. Especially if your health was already full.
Yes. And then you're like,
Jerk
dot, dot,
move.
running away.
Whoops.
Then it'd be like, Mom, he threw me off
Sorry.
the thing. Well, she started it. She took my box.
Exactly. It's my box.
Exactly. All right. So what are some of your favorite pinup girl events to attend?
So the first, I would say the first major one that I attended was Dead Man's Curve.
Okay.
End of August, early September last year. That was in Somerset, New Jersey. That was essentially like this huge car show, but there were also a lot of vendors, of course, and then live music, which I'm a huge fan of live music. And I had actually had my first, I guess, official photo shoot there with Hellcat A Go-Go Studios. So that was a great time. That was a learning experience. It was a lot of fun. Very nervous because I just didn't know how are these photos going to come out. Am I going to seem like a total newbie? Is the photographer, is Johnny, is he going to get annoyed with me because he just works with pros? And here I am figuring it out. And it wasn't like that at all. If there's anything that I've learned, I've learned that people within the pinup community, not just the pinups themselves, but photographers and organizers, they're in general, they're very friendly and warm and welcoming people. So that was Dead Man's Curve was a great experience. It was really like a nice, like first major pinup experience for me. Had I gone to that and it was a bad experience and people had been unfriendly or snooty, I think it might have kind of tainted the waters just a little bit for me, but it wasn't. It was great. It was a good time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to attending more events like that and meeting more people within the community, because so far it's been a very nice, for the most part, it's been a very nice, welcoming experience.
Yep. I could say I kind of just did a photo shoot last month. First time of doing that. It's one of those that you walk in and you pay for it, but it was Western theme. And I got to tell you, the pants that they gave me were so big, I almost walked right over them.
Were they chaps?
Yeah.
They were chaps. Okay.
They were starting to go over my shoes. So I was like,
had a
very much walking like this.
Little hitch in your giddy up. You had a little John Wayne strut going on there.
Yeah. I'm like, I reckon I don't want to hit this table and knock all these fancy doodads off.
Right, but you kind of roll with it. I mean, did the most important thing, did you have a good time though?
I did. And it was funny because she asked me to do like the stink eye or something like that, and like different gun poses. And like, I'm like, can I have two guns?
Right.
Yeah. This and then this. But it was funny. And it wasn't really expensive at all. The sitting fee was like only $10, and like to get two prints was like only under $40, so
that's great. I mean, especially when it's something that kind of, I think, speaks to you to a degree. I think the first shoot that I had ever done was actually over the summer, and it was prior to Dead Man's Curve. There is a vintage shop in Wantagh, Long Island.
okay.
And I'm following their page. It's called Dynamite Vintage. Please follow. It's a great little shop and an incredible owner. She had advertised on Instagram that she was having like a little tiki / dinosaur photo shoot, like in the back kind of the backyard of her shop. And I was just like, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a try. It was my first time really ever venturing out and doing pinup that wasn't maybe at like a wedding, because that was really the only other time I'd done pinup. If I had an event to go to, I'd maybe get like, do the pinup hairstyle, or wear like a petticoat with like a pinup inspired dress, but never really anything that I did, if you want to call it professionally. So I went and I took a chance, and I was with her really cool big old T-Rex in her little tiki setup in the back. And it was just so cool. I'm like, okay, I went back there. I'm like, okay, this is such a cool setting. How could you not want to do something like a little tiki bar with a big old T-Rex kind of breathing down your neck? So that was really cool. I mean, come on, kind of, how could you not want to do that?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. The only thing that I can slightly relate to is when I went to Comic-Con, they had a Jurassic Park display.
Yes.
I was dressed as Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park. So people thought that I came with the car, and I got to move the sign, and I had a Dilophosaurus puppet on my hand, so.
I was about to ask if you had any props, if you either had that or if you possibly had like a can of Barbasol with you or something like that.
I did,
See? You thought of everything.
Yeah. And so people wanted me to stand by the car as they took the photos, like
Well,
as
that's fun.
yeah, or reading the sign, I'm just like, stupid sign.
Yeah. Hey, stick, stupid.
Yes. And then like someone else was dressed as Dennis and everything. I'm like, Dennis clocking in, Dennis go over here, like, and then there was John, someone was dressed as John Hammond. I go, gotta explain this DNA to us, because there's like a bunch of Dennis Nedrys and one John Hammond. and someone came by as Malcolm, and he's like, life finds a way.
Yes, it's true, right? But it's
Yeah.
a classic. I mean, come on, it's Jurassic Park. So how could you not love Jurassic Park?
Oh my. I have an Alan Grant costume as well.
You have to, of course.
Yes. All right, another impression. All right. Land on the same one. All right, Street Fighter. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. And here we go. Round one, fight. Hada, hada. Hadouken, Hadouken.
Okay.
Hi, 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 hi.
Hey, loading home.
Hadouken. Oi, oi, oi. Shatamana. You win. All right.
So when you do your Hadoukens and your Shoryukens,
Yeah,
are you channeling more Ryu or are you channeling Ken?
more Ryu.
More Ryu. Okay, fair enough.
Ryu, I've always been E Honda and Ryu. I've never been much with Ken.
Yeah, what I do like about Ken, I did think that Ken had some of the coolest music, though. He might actually be my favorite background music from Street Fighter 2, and there was some great music. I'm a huge fan of like video game soundtracks. I mean, that's, one thing that I think sometimes people don't realize or give enough credit for is that there are legitimate composers who create the music for video games. And I mean, again, going back to that, old school gaming, and I'm going to sound like I'm a broken record here, but again, like these little sound cards and these composers who had to just make just these like sweeping soundtracks with the technology that they had. I mean, and Street Fighter is great. Street Fighter is great. I mean, Final Fantasy has some of the best music that I think I've ever heard just in my life, period, like video gaming aside. I think Bully for the PS2, that is one of the most unique soundtracks I think I've ever heard. It's just so cool and just different and a little weird sometimes, but it's fantastic. I love a good video game soundtrack, and Street Fighter 2 is no exception.
I was tempted to put Halo on there, but I didn't want to be like, oh. And then like the main guy, I need a weapon.
I appreciate that you do impressions, not just the voices, but you are also doing impressions of the sound effects and of the music. So you're covering all the bases. So
oh yeah.
props.
I don't know if you've ever seen Red versus Blue. Hysterical. It's certain Halo people versus the other Halo people. and their cartoon, like their voices are dubbed. And it's like by Rooster Teeth. It's on YouTube, but like sometimes they'll be like, we have to go to the mission. He's like, where's my puppy? And it's just like silly, ridiculous stuff,
Yeah, I have to check that out. Yeah, I was never too much of a Halo girl. I have to say, when I was younger, what I would always do is I would call it, when I was a little girl, I would call them boy games, like a game like Contra. I'm like, oh, Contra is a boy game. I'm not going to play Contra, but it was always like the boys in my family that loved, Contra or NHL, anything, NHL, everything, NHL 92 and then 93 and 94. I think I watched those more than I played them. Plus, I also wasn't very good at them. So that's probably another reason why I was like, oh, I don't play those games because I was terrible at them. I just was not good at those kind of games. boy games.
All right. Yeah, I was. My sister would play certain games that I was not interested in. So my mom always tried to get us games that we had to play together. So that
Okay.
way we would, like we used to play Mickey and Donald's Magic Illusion, and like you would have to like work together and crawl together. But if you would hit each other with the towel, like your character would freeze. So we'd be like, "Pa, pa, 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 pa,"
So so that I remember there was Castle of Illusion and there was World of Illusion.
Yes.
Those I remember. Those were great, actually. Those are really great,
Mhm.
really pretty games. Like that's another thing too. Like aesthetically, they were just very pretty looking games. I don't know how else to describe it. But they were fun. They were cute too. They were
Oh
cute.
yes. Is there any last impression you'd like to hear?
Oh, let me think now.
Still got Mario, Space Invaders, Mario Kart, Tetris, Duck Hunt, Lion King, Sega, uh, GoldenEye.
So you would say you're a pretty big Mario Kart fan, you would
Mhm.
say?
Yep.
Now, could you give any impressions of a Mario Kart driver, what they sound like when they spin out?
Ow, wow, 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 wow.
Yeah. That was great, yep, nailed it. Wario might be one of my favorite spin out sounds.
Wow, wow, wow,
Oh
wow,
my
wow.
goodness. Oh, it just cracked me up, especially when you would be driving away and you'd hear it kind of fading out in the distance.
Yes.
It was great.
And then you would hear, "Here we go, here we
Mhm,
go."
mhm. We get like the little boost,
Yes,
right? Little bit of a boost. That was great.
that
I would
would
do
be
that
the
now.
So if you want, I can do the Lion King from Sega or Mario Kart or Space Invaders, GoldenEye.
Well, how about some Space Invaders?
Okay, can do that. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Shoot through the shield.
That's great. And then to build up the intensity, right? Like, the more of them you shot, the
Yeah,
faster they would move, and the faster they'd come down, and the more stressed out you'd feel.
and you'd be like, "Shoot through the shield! You're crazy." There's a there's a Futurama episode that pays homage to the NES games, and one of them is um, Space Invaders, that they're coming to invade the planet, and they're like, "Fry, there's one ship left." He goes, "I can't get it. My brother always used to get it for me."
Aw.
But it's hilarious if you love that show. But he's like, it's a Friday night. I have no date. I have a 20-ounce bottle of Shasta in my Rush mixtape. And so he's like,
That's
"Gee."
a good night to me. I'm sorry. I mean, that sounds like that's a great night. A Rush mixtape?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kinda talking my language a little bit, as if I couldn't get any nerdier, right?
And there he is playing on the game system, and it's like Space and a Dude, and it's like do 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 do.
Little
And
tongue
so
player.
normally on Fridays he retweets that on his Twitter, his X account.
That's fantastic. That's a beautiful thing.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to say as we wrap it up on Dan-A-Plooza today, Raven?
I just have to say, I mean, thank you so much, and thank you for doing this. I mean, we were talking a little bit about it before, but I think it's really a wonderful thing that you're doing this. I think that I know that you don't only speak with, you know, pinup figures, but I think it's an important thing to do because it could be very easy to just dismiss people as just maybe like a pretty face or not having a lot of depth or just, as somebody who just likes to get dolled up and that's kind of all that there is to them when you really have a lot of people within the pinup community who are very charitable. They're, involved with animal rescue or veteran support or helping people who struggle with food security. There's so many fundraisers that go on within and around the pinup community. So I think it's a wonderful thing that you have this outlet for people in the community to speak about what they do, and that yes, the looking pretty thing and being, pretty and glammed up in photos is one thing, but it's so much more than that. So I thank you for providing this outlet for everybody in the community. I think it's wonderful.
All right. And we want to thank the beautiful Raven Chanteuse for being a guest. Stick around because we have more Dan-A-Plooza coming up. Coming up, we have the burlesque performer and fire performer, Miss Lady Totblood. And at 8 o'clock, we have a vice president of the Pinups and Pumps. We have Miss Peppa Sharpe. So everyone stay tuned, keep supporting Dan-A-Plooza, and have a good evening. Okay. And